Hello, world. My next guest needs no introduction. A LinkedIn top voice, a second to none global marketing and AI leader, a TEDx speaker, a top 10 marketing influencer, and a B2B social media rising star. Please join me in welcoming Archana Dhankar to the show. Archana, are you ready to get radically transparent with me?
Thank you, Jen, for having me on the call and the podcast. It's been a pleasure, and I'm so looking forward to this conversation.
I am as well. There's nothing better than getting radically transparent with fantastic marketers. So I've got to ask, what is keeping you up at night professionally these days?
Well, I'll be lying if I would say I'm not thinking about AI, right? Like AI is here, it's been here for about 2 years, and it's changing at a pace that's very fast for everyone to catch up. I'm spending a lot of time learning about new tools, what's coming in every day, but it's still very hard to keep up. And that's what keeping me up at night because the world that we live in, the job that we do today is evolving every single minute. And how do we ensure that our businesses, our roles are keeping pace with the competition as well? Because if we don't, then somebody else will catch up and we lose market to them.
Absolutely. And I think you're not alone on that. I'm right up there with you at night with my eyes wide open. So, with AI entering into our industries, our workspaces, and all of us marketers really trying to understand where and how we best use it, would you say traditional marketing is dead, or do you think it's evolved into something new?
Well, look, traditional marketing will always remain true to the core of marketing today. And the reason being because we as a humans don't change. Marketing is about understanding customer pain point and then being able to talk to them. Now, obviously, there are nuances that today we live in a different world. We live in a digital society where we are spending time on multiple social networks. We maybe don't commute from home as much, and then our recommendation sources are no longer small pockets of communities, but also our WhatsApp groups. So the channels that we are going out on needs to be different. With digital coming in, we also have a lot of data available, which makes us more targeted. So using those is also important. So while the ethos of marketing remains the same, the way we actually target or talk to our customers have definitely evolved over the last 10 to 15 years. And I think in next 3 to 4 years, it will look even more different to what it looked like in maybe 2024.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Now, I know AI is keeping you up at night, so I'm bringing it back. How do you see AI reshaping B2B marketing today, and what are some of the most meaningful changes that you've seen so far?
Well, if you look at AI revolution that happened 2 years back because OpenAI came into space, I've always said that AI has existed even before OpenAI. We'd had automation, predictive, or prescriptive AI going on with all the marketing automation tools that we had. But now the biggest revolution that I've seen in last 2 years is content. So if an organization is still not doing Gen AI led content, to some extent derivatives, then they're probably behind the curve by about a year to 18 months because every other organization is doing it. And then the next set of uplift will come from when you can solve bigger problems than just writing a blog or writing a social media post with Gen AI. And that's where you need to, first of all, understand what's your problem stack, right? Like, where are you having your biggest problems, where your team says it's a lot more manual, nobody wants to do that role because it's such a grunt work, and then be able to use AI for that repetitive task. Could be even data cleansing, right? So, yeah, you have to look at your business problems to solve those.
Absolutely. And as we see AI becoming more integrated into our daily work and our daily workflow, and as you said, right, using it to solve problems, how do you see the roles within marketing teams evolving over the next few years? Or maybe even year with how fast everything is moving?
Well, yes, I mean, we've always said like AI in the hands of specialists is a great tool, right? Where you know what your end product or end goal looks like. So I think specialists will rise even better. They'll be able to do more with the help of AI. So nobody should be afraid of using AI, to be honest. But then at the same time, there are also roles where generalists can use AI to augment their productivity. So there are two kind of solutions here where you've got productivity gains coming in because now you've got AI to help you support just do all the grunt work. And then you've got specialists who can use AI to even do customer research, customer persona mapping, or could be even like strategy documents, but be more intelligent and be more creative because you've got AI which can do the research of what's happening in the industry. So, yes, the roles will evolve. And I think there would be a lot more productivity gains for the organizations, for the human. We are all coming from a point where we are intelligent human beings and we just have to be more resilient to change because, yes, there will be like some disruption around. And how do we reinvent ourselves and be resilient again on that would be important.
Absolutely. I know that with our customers, I often talk about mindset, skill set, and tool set. And so when I think about B2B marketing today, skill set comes to mind. What are the skills that marketers should start developing now to stay relevant? Or we can also take this question and think about what in your opinion are the skills that are never going out of style for marketers?
I think let me broaden it up. I had this conversation a long time back when I was doing my AI course with London Business School with my cohort, and we said like AI is coming in. This was probably 2023, so it's been a while. But we were like AI is coming in. We know it's like going to change how we work, and there's a lot of like data-driven tasks that AI can do. So what do we do really to help be more relevant? And the answer to that we all agreed on. I still remember that was have more emotional intelligence. So if you because that's one thing that AI can't replicate. AI at least today cannot read faces, body languages, and figure out what's happening with the human. But be also aware of like if a message is not landing with your audience, right? Like as a marketer, you're working with sales and customers day in and day out. You're collaborating with sales and then delivering a message to customers. Are both the parties bought into what you're doing? You have to judge that. So emotional intelligence is going to be really critical. And then how do you execute on that strategy, right? Like it's very easy for somebody to create a one-pager document on how to do X or Y, but it's about bringing the team together. You've got so many stakeholders in an organization that will still remain the same. That's not going to change. How do you make sure you're you're managing upwards, you're also working with your peers, and then communicating what you're doing in the best form?
Absolutely. I think that's so well said. I know when we caught up, we had a conversation around marketing now being 50% IT. And I know that this has been over the last few years a popular discussion in marketing circles, and more IT teams are getting involved in purchasing marketing technology. What are, in your opinion, some of the key questions leaders should be asking when evaluating or consolidating their MarTech stack, especially with so many tools popping up, so many tools, AI, use AI, and how do we even manage this? How do we begin to even think about this?
Yeah, so true. And there was a very interesting conversation I maybe heard somewhere else. So it's not my own thought, but and the person was saying, well, IT is going to be the next HR if agents come in. And I was like, yeah, that's very interesting. It's probably happening, right? So we will see IT having a lot more voice, not just in marketing, but in other businesses as well as they enable. So that's a organizational level change. But from marketing perspective, if you look at like MarTech stack has grown by 10% from 24 to 25. Like if you look at that beautiful diagram where you can't even see a single tool because it's just so there are so many out there already. And every single tool today also is like AI augmented. So you're like, yeah, everything is AI augmented as well. But I think coming back, it needs to be a lot more lean data stack, right? Like there's no point having five tools which do the same thing, but you've got them because a team X wanted another tool because it was just 10% marginally better than the one that was already existing. So having an understanding of what is the baseline things that you want those tools to do and be able to have maybe 80 to 90% solution rather than the 100% and keep changing because taking a tool out, replacing it is a really big pain.
Yeah.
Having a conversation with the vendors about what's coming next in 6 months rather than replacement is a great strategy as well, but at the same time just talking to your teams and saying like, are there tools that nobody's using, right? Because I've seen that as well, where you've got a tool in the business, but nobody really logs into it beyond maybe two or three people.
Yep.
So you need to also understand like what's the use case of those tools, and just pare it down. Because there was a research, I think by one of the analyst groups, where they said in a small team, maybe you've got 10 to 12 tools, but then as you go to larger marketing teams, this could be anywhere between 35 to 45 tools
Yeah.
across the martech. That's a massive tool. And even if you're just using 10 to 12 of those in your role, every time you switch around, there's a lot of context loss that happens, right? It's very hard for a team, a user, or a person to move around five different tools during their day. Like that's very, very hard.
Absolutely. And just thinking about what you shared, right? There's so many tools. Yes. Now, as you were speaking about this, one thing came to mind, and it goes back to AI, right? And it's about change management. It's often the hardest part, right? About embracing AI. I'll be transparent here. I also, in certain ways, I've been in the industry for over a decade, and I'm, oh, okay, I need to do this new, and you need to kind of change or be extinct. But that's a gentle way or a joking way. But in a serious note, I know all of our leaders are really caring about the teams that they lead. How can we, as leaders, enable and uplift our teams to embrace AI and not be so afraid of it?
Yeah, I think having an experimentation mindset, like there are a couple of principles or good practices that you can embody. Whenever I have deployed or supported organizations or talked to leaders about how to enable their teams with AI, one is mindset shift. So essentially just making sure your team feels safe, but they have AI literacy to understand how to use AI, the best practices. So they can be independent with the use cases, and you don't have to put too many guardrails around it, because a lot of organizations also are like afraid of, if we enable the team with AI, what would the output look like? And that is coming because they're trying to mitigate a risk. But there's another way of mitigating the risk, which is just uplifting and training the team with some basic AI best practices, as we call it in broad term, AI literacy. So that would be the first thing. And the other part of it is creating more pilot groups, which is essentially whenever you like roll out any big change, you test your ethos with a smaller group, come out with best practices, understand what was working, what's not working, because a lot of things look really good on paper. But when you put them in practice, there are things that you learn about them as they are being implemented. And that feedback loop from the actual user, the team who's actually going to do the work, is so very important. And being able to embody that, that's where the change management becomes more seamless, because somebody who's actually going to use it has given you the feedback. It's same as you would go and launch like an app, right? Like you don't launch the app day one to everybody in the market. You've got an alpha or a beta test rolling out to key customers, feedback, then you roll out to the larger group. And I think that's the same thing with any other, whether you're doing an AI or whether you are launching another tool set in your organization, it'll be the same practice.
I think that's brilliant, and I think it's well said. And where can I work with you? All right, so
Yeah.
Archana, I have another question for you regarding success, right? We're all, we want to be successful in our career path as marketers. What do you think would keep a marketer successful in the future?
Yes, I think what I've seen with myself, like one of my core values is probably growth mindset and always learning. And especially today, with how AI is evolving and changing, it's just being able to acknowledge the fact that the world will look different, and then build a pattern of learning habits, whether they are small incremental learning patterns in terms of like growing your skill set, growing your understanding of what's happening in your industry. And so, in one word, I would say it's growth mindset, being able to just understand and be open minded. So, be open minded to evolve as the world change, because yes, it is going to evolve. We've already seen the user journey is starting to evolve in marketing. No longer do we search on Google. We search on ChatGPT. We ask Perplexity to go and do our deep research. So the buying cycle of the customer is changing. And in 1 year, all of it can be done in AI. So yes, the roles will eventually evolve with it.
I have two questions left for you today. And in this world where new platforms, as we spoke about earlier, are popping up I would say every few minutes and new formats. How are you deciding what's worth pursuing for true impact and what's just noise?
Yeah, sure. So I think for me, it's about understanding where the business problem is and the tools that I have, are they sufficient to resolve that? It's very hard to just go and get another new tool every 15 days. And I'm also letting these tools just sit and see how the market is reacting to them. I'm very conscious that a lot of smaller organizations, and this is where it gets radically transparent, they will get consolidated, right? Like we've got a lot of innovation happening in the AI space. There are a lot of startups coming along with really good concepts, but a lot of big vendors would eventually consolidate or bring out the similar functionalities. So it's about aligning with vendors where you see the trust, you know their growth path, and their next phase of iterations with their project. I'm always talking to the vendors and saying, hey, what's your next release looking like, especially with AI? And if there are gaps, I'm consciously giving that feedback to the vendors as well. So I think that's where the collaboration happens. And if somebody was to ask me what are my favorite tools right now, there are multiple out there, but something that stands out to me would be beyond the content writing is where video editing, tools like Descript that I use even in my personal video content a lot. Synthesia or 11 Labs, again, for video and audio work. So yeah, those would be the ones that I'm using. Might be worth checking out.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, I hope you're listening in and you're going to go check out those tools. We use some of those here as well. Now, my last question. What is one thing that you can tell us about yourself that we cannot learn about you from looking at your LinkedIn profile or, in the spirit of today's episode, asking AI?
Oh yeah, yeah, that would be an interesting one because beyond LinkedIn, I also do Instagram, right? So a lot of my life has been on social media for last 7 to 8 years. There's very little that I have probably not shared. So my love for yoga or travel, but here's one thing that nobody really knows, is that I was a trained professional classical dancer, which is a form of Indian classical
Wow.
dance called Kathak. This was a long time back. As a kid, I said I would become a professional dancer. And my mom basically said, oh, that doesn't sound like a really good career right now. So that's it. Like I have a really big love for dance and music. And that's probably not as apparent from any social media profiles today.
I love it. Archana, thank you so much for joining me today and getting radically transparent. If anyone wants to connect, learn more, where is the best place to connect with you?
I think the best place is LinkedIn today. I am definitely more responsive on that platform than any other. So yeah, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. DM me, send me a message. I'm happy to respond to questions if after listening to this podcast somebody thinks there's something that they want to ask.
Fantastic. Archana, thank you so much.